I'm looking forward to that.
Got it. Okay. Well, welcome. This is a mouthful, but welcome to Together Women Rises July webinar. My name is Barb Bailey, and I'm tonight's moderator. As a member of Together Women Rise, I'm a volunteer regional co-leader for the Northeast region and a co-leader of the Rise chapter in Rochester, New York. So a couple of quick instructions. First off, please put yourself on mute so we won't hear any background noises. Next, please introduce yourself in the chat and tell us your name and where you're from, and if you're new to Together Women Rise. You can also use the chat to ask any questions you may have for our speakers. Finally, if you click on the view, the little view box, you can select speaker view so you can view the speaker and the presentation's full screen as opposed to the gallery view. I know some of you are new joining us tonight, so before I get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about us. Together Women Rise is a powerful community of women and allies dedicated to achieving global gender equality. We have hundreds of local chapters across the United States where members learn about gender equality issues, give grants to organizations that empower women and girls in low-income countries, and build community to forge meaningful connections with each other and with women and girls around the world. You can visit our website at togetherwomenrise.org for more information and ways that you can get involved. Each month, Together Women Rise features a project that addresses one of many challenges faced by women and girls in low-income countries. We award these projects a featured grant of between $35,000 and $50,000, and together at this national webinar and at the chapters all across the United States, we learn about the country, the challenges, and how the project will help women and girls and global gender equality. This month, we are funding a girls' education and leadership project with Soccer Without Borders in Nicaragua. Soccer Without Borders is a global nonprofit that uses soccer as a vehicle for positive change in the lives of underserved youth. First, we're going to play a short video about the project, and then I'll introduce our speaker from Soccer Without Borders.
I'm working on it. Give me a second.
I can sing. Not really. You wouldn't want to hear me sing.
Sorry, I messed up with the fact that I don't have my two monitors this month. So hang in there, folks.
That's okay. There we go.
Dicen que nosotros no podemos jugar, que somos muy débiles y que solo que pues que nos golpeen, somos muy delicadas y dicen que después comenzamos a llorar y dicen que ellos son los únicos que pueden jugar. Yo les digo que no, porque también nosotros tenemos derecho a jugar.
Girls in Nicaragua have different cultural expectations from their family. They're expected when they're not in school to be in the house, to clean the house, to be taking care of their little siblings, and also to be cooking for the family, which doesn't afford them a lot of time for themselves or to be with peers.
The original idea of the program was to use soccer as a vehicle to engage girls and women through sport to open doors that they could access larger opportunities within the community and within the country. The first day that we really tried to have an organized space for girls was a Saturday morning in March, and we met every girl we had worked with over the last few months. We told them to come on this one Saturday that we had reserved the field space and we were going to be holding a practice just for girls. And we met in the center of town and literally kind of paraded down to the field together and hosted this practice with about 25 girls, all ages. We had a 3-year-old and a 25-year-old, and just tried to create a space where it was just for them.
He estado con Fútbol Sin Frontera hace 3 años y tengo 1 año como entrenadora. He visto el cambio de que las chicas tienen más oportunidades. Por ejemplo, antes tal vez no tenían un lugar donde ir y decir, hay un lugar donde es un lugar solo para mujeres. Entonces antes no había y ahora sí hay. Entonces ellas dicen, vamos ahí porque ahí podemos estar con amigas, conocer nuevas chicas, practicar un nuevo deporte. Entonces he visto ese cambio positivo de que ahora hay oportunidades para las mujeres.
One of the biggest changes that I've seen is that when we first started the program, the concept of team and of a unique space for girls where there's interdependence and a larger culture, positive culture just for girls, was non-existent. And we've been able to build over time a space where girls really feel like it's for them, and it's a space where they know that there are mentors there that are focused on them, a space where they can learn, a space where they can try new things, make mistakes, and get better and try to reach their goals.
Significa ser parte de un equipo porque nos ayudamos unos a los otros y además eso nos ayuda bastante a nosotros, estar en un gran equipo de estrellas. Me ayuda a estar con mis compañeras de estrella, con los entrenadores, con las voluntarias, porque con ellas aprendemos más. Y mis amigas me dicen que eso puede ser malo para nosotros y yo le digo que no, porque es un gran desarrollo que nos dan a nosotros mismos. Para mí significa Fútbol Sin Frontera que hay que estar siempre unidas, ser respetuosas con nosotros mismos y además hay que hacer bien compañerismo.
Todo mi mundo ha cambiado totalmente. He visto cosas que pensé que nunca iba a ver, un trabajo muy bonito, una forma diferente de aprender o de enseñar, porque uno no solo aprende, también enseña, y al revés, enseña y aprende de las chicas, y es maravilloso ver cómo lo que podía ver antes en los varones, también lo puedo ver en las mujeres, que ellas pueden hacerlo todo también igual que nosotros.
Thank you, Wendy. Our guest speaker tonight is Mary Connor, who we just saw on the video. She is the co-founder and executive director of Soccer Without Borders. Since 2007, Mary has worked to build the organization from the ground up, establishing programs and infrastructure that has led to its recognition on a local, national, and global scale. With awards from the Wharton Business School, FIFA, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and the U.S. Soccer Foundation. Mary joined Soccer Without Borders from the NCAA coaching and professional soccer ranks. She earned her master's degree in sociology from Lehigh University and her undergraduate BA in philosophy from Dartmouth College. Mary was drafted to play with the Philadelphia Charge in the WUSA and went on to play in the Icelandic Premier League and the WPSL. A Massachusetts native, Mary has played and coached and led soccer and soccer for development programs in 17 countries and 32 states. Wow, Mary, welcome.
Thank you so much, Barb. It's wonderful to be here with you all. So I'm just really excited to be here and appreciate the invitation. And I wanted to first start by thanking the members of Together Women Rise that are here this evening for investing in our work in Nicaragua and for your ongoing commitment to programs serving women and girls all over the world. Every month I see a new organization featured. They're all incredible. And I know how much work goes into that selection and due diligence and follow-up and community that you're building. So we're just really proud to be a part of it. As was just shared, I came to this work with Soccer Without Borders via the formal soccer and professional soccer world. Everything about my last 14 years at Soccer Without Borders is an expression of the impact that soccer has had on my life as a woman growing up in a post-Title IX United States, which we just celebrated 50 years, the 50-year anniversary of that legislation. That sort of led to this insatiable desire to pay it forward. I played my first soccer team with my older brother when I was 4, and it's been a mainstay in my life ever since. But just like many lifelong friendships, soccer has taken different forms and played a lot of different roles in my life over the years. When my family moved to Germany when I was 6 for 2 years, soccer was the way I gained a sense of belonging, even though I spoke no German when I first got there. It helped me to make friends and helped me, those friends then helped me to stand up to people who were bullying me for being different as the only American in a German public school. It taught me that boys and girls didn't always have the same opportunities. When my brother had dozens of teams that he was able to play on, whereas my dad had to talk one of the boys' teams into letting me play on the team because there was literally no teams for girls. Soccer gave me my lifelong best friends, my teammates who stood up for me when I was told I shouldn't go in the women's bathroom because I had a bowl cut and looked like a boy. My teammates who celebrated me getting drafted to play in the WUSA, even though it meant that I missed walking at graduation alongside them at Dartmouth. My teammates who accepted and embraced me when I came out. My teammates who are some of Soccer Without Borders' most longstanding supporters and biggest champions. But it wasn't until Soccer Without Borders that I realized that the impact of soccer is not limited to its impact on the individual. It is, and I'm happy to argue this, the most powerful cultural phenomenon on earth. Over 4 billion people watched the 2018 World Cup. That's more than half the planet. And more pointedly to what we're going to talk about today, soccer is uniquely suited to advance women and girls' rights, both on an individual level and on a societal level. It teaches girls to take ownership of their bodies and feel confident in the many things it can do, and not only to view their bodies through the eyes of men and boys. If it's designed in the right way, a soccer team becomes a supportive family of peers and mentors who are there as we navigate the ups and downs of adolescence. It teaches teamwork, precision, a love of physical activity, communication, and more. It's a space where girls, as you heard in the video, actively practice and succeed, practice publicly succeeding and failing. They celebrate successes together. They bounce back when things don't go their way. It also physically connects the body and mind in a way that supports healing from trauma and positive mental health, which is something that is of huge importance right now, especially among young people in the world. But beyond the individual, it teaches society, in particular boys and men, but also girls and women who have this internalized self-doubt that girls and women are capable of much more than the media portrays and much more than they may see in their immediate communities. Soccer is uniquely suited to advance women and girls' rights because there is no cultural phenomenon on earth that men viscerally, emotionally, and publicly care about more. When it comes to smashing the patriarchy, we might as well go right to the heart of where men have the most power. So with that, I'd like to share a couple of specifics about our program. And then I'm excited to hear your questions. I am going to start sharing my screen now, which I hope works because I also have two screens, which I know can mess with it a little bit. Tell me if is that full screen? Is that working?
You got it beautifully.
Okay, great. All right, so our purpose at Soccer Without Borders, which you shared beautifully, is to build a more inclusive and equitable world through soccer, where all youth can feel a sense of belonging and be supported to reach their full potential. We started as an all-volunteer, scrappy organization in 2006 with a $5,000 social entrepreneurship prize from Lehigh University. And we've grown to impact thousands of youth each year. We've directly led programming and trained hundreds of coaches across 37 countries. But for me, all of that started in Nicaragua, the program that you're supporting. When we first started Soccer Without Borders in Nicaragua, there was no sport opportunities for girls at all in a city of over 100,000 people. This is Granada, Nicaragua. It's a beautiful city, colonial city, one of the oldest in Central America. At the time when I first went, one, I was much tinier, as you could see on the left, and two, there was just a single women's team. They were this group of like unicorns who managed to break stereotypes and piece together resources to buy uniforms and occasionally travel to games. One of those women, Veronica, in the front there, she's now our co-director. I had just finished up 4 years of coaching at Lehigh and pursuing a master's degree, and I was quickly invited by the team to train with them and coach. We ended up recruiting a few of them to help us launch our first series of practices and activities for local girls. We went school to school, community to community, introducing girls to soccer and recruiting them to the program. I love this photo because you can see some of the boys around the outside when we were coaching at their gym class. That's a school in Granada, just looking on. After about 6 weeks of doing that outreach, we had enough interest to launch a camp, and we invited Veronica and several of her teammates to help coach it. Alongside the camp, we held a coaching clinic, which ended up being primarily men who attended, which was pretty amazing given that it was led by 3 women. And this taught me a lesson that I would learn over and over. And the lesson was, if you can play, you can play. Men in this community really had never seen women who could coach and play like we could. And I don't think they'd actually seen anyone who could coach and play like we could. And they loved the sport enough to want to get better. And so they came and took notes. And many of these men ended up being some of our biggest advocates to this day. That's in the man in the video, Aden, right here, is the tall one standing there. This picture was taken 6 years earlier, and he's continued to be an advocate year after year. Over the next 5 years, we progressed from having activities 1 day a week to 2 days a week, and then renting a community space so we could have off-field events, and we could operate throughout the week, 6 days a week, almost every week of the year. We had these light blue bracelets. It was sort of the time and era of those rubber bracelets. So we had these light blue bracelets that marked membership in the program. We created 2 cultural exchange trips where adult soccer players and college soccer players could come to Granada and coach at our camp, bringing with them thousands of pounds of much needed equipment. We learned that to fairly distribute that equipment required a clear system. And we developed what we call the bodega. It's like a point system where girls can use the points as money to buy different materials. And it gives the girls ownership and choice in selecting their gear. You can see here what they've selected. We lobbied the town and the mayor for permission to bulldoze an overgrown lot and build a small-sided soccer field. We said, if we clear it, can we have it? Can we use it exclusively for our girls program? We invited the girls to design a mural to overlook it, which they decided on Todos Pueden Jugar, everyone can play. Once we had grown to 6 teams, there was no one for us to play. We were the only teams in the city. So we created a school league and we trained all the gym teachers to put together their own teams. When we heard from parents that they loved the program, but that their daughters needed a concrete diploma and credential, and that their families needed concrete resources, we found a funding partner to create a school scholarship and education program. This program has now funded over 400 scholarships with support from Together Women Rise. It will continue to expand over the next 2 years. Many of the girls, like Ashley here, joined the program in 2008, 2009, 2010. They're now graduated, and we're supporting 8 of them through university scholarships. And in exchange, they are coaching and teaching and serving as tutors in the program, paying it forward themselves to younger girls in their community. More than 70% of our coaching staff are now program alumni. The video I showed is a little outdated. You'll see why at the end. We haven't been able to refilm in the last few years, but this photo features a woman named Fatima, where now what our girls see every day are women like her who are literally from their community and have been in their shoes, have been in the program, have come through it, have graduated. I first met Fatima in 2009 at one of those gym classes. She lived miles from our field and community center and couldn't afford a bike. So she came when she could, but it wasn't every day. Like Ashley and over 2/3 of the girls in our program, Fatima grew up without a father. Her mom suffered from a debilitating mental illness and couldn't work, and her aunt supported both of their families, including 5 kids, by selling tortillas in the market. Fatima's future was slated to be helping in the market. And when her mom passed away, she dropped out of school to do just that. But she absolutely loved soccer and had an innate talent for it. We did whatever we could to keep Fatima in the program. And in 2014, when the school scholarship program launched, we were able to financially support what she needed to return to school and graduate. She is now a full-time coach with us and is one of just a handful of women in the country who has a professional coaching license. She's represented Soccer Without Borders on 2 US State Department exchanges to the United States and Colombia. Women like Ashley and Fatima are exceptional, but they are not the exception at Soccer Without Borders. I could tell you story after story of women and girls who are breaking barriers in Nicaragua and across all of our program sites. What these girls need are just long-term, holistic, systematic investment in their future. And then really for us to get out of the way. They need to be surrounded by a community of caring and consistent people who stick with them through ups and downs, who don't give up on them when they aren't perfect, and who don't look away when things get really hard. And in 2018, things got exceptionally hard in Nicaragua. Protests over a change in the national security, social security system led to a crackdown by the government and an uprising that nearly became a civil war. This photo was taken literally right outside of our office in Granada. The university where Ashley attends was at the epicenter, and it closed for the rest of the year. And all of this was just starting to settle when the pandemic arrived in 2020. This is a community and a country that has experienced acute and extended trauma, but it hasn't received the same attention or investment from the global community that many other crises have. We have continued to operate in every way and moment that we've deemed safe. And we're so grateful that Together Women Rise would support our work and support this community, just as we're emerging from these dual crises, and we are certain we're going to emerge stronger than ever. So I know that there are many, many causes and many, many needs in the world right now, but I wanted all of you to know that this work and this program, it is the change that you want to see in the world. And that change has happened because thousands of people have put their privilege, their resources, their hearts, their time, and their imagination into a community that was open to that change. It was ready for it. And because of women like Veronica, its legacy has only just begun. Thank you so much for this investment that you've made in Soccer Without Borders Nicaragua and for the opportunity to share its story. I wish Veronica could be here. She doesn't speak English, so it would have been really challenging to live translate. But on her behalf and on behalf of the whole program, just thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Thank you so much, Mary, for telling us about the incredible work you're doing at Soccer Without Borders. We are so proud to partner with you on this program for girls. I think we have a couple of questions. Wendy, were you going to read those?
Yes.
Okay.
So I know you touched on the scholarships. Someone was asking early on about whether besides learning soccer, are there other services that the girls are provided? Could you maybe elaborate more on that?
Yeah. So the activities that the girls have are soccer practices and games on the field, and then the education and leadership program, which is what you're all supporting. So the community center is open 6 days a week. There's tutoring every day after school. They have access to internet, computers, a library, tutors. We partner with all the schools to keep track of their grades and their attendance, so we can make sure that we're communicating and encouraging them to go and intervening if they're sort of suffering in one class or another, which tends to be fourth grade math is what the most consistent class is. That is difficult for our kids. So soccer and education are the two biggest things, but then we also do community service projects and field trips and try to expose the girls to different activities they might not otherwise have access to. One big one is swimming, that we've taught the girls to swim. Granada is right on a lake, but many kids don't know how to swim. So we've tried to do things to, fill in gaps in their formal education and informal education that they might not get somewhere else. Thanks
Thank
for that
you.
question.
And can you clarify the scholarships? Are they for girls to go on to university?
So we do primary, secondary, and university scholarships.
Okay.
Public schools in Nicaragua are not free. You saw in the photo kids wearing uniforms. They're required to wear those uniforms and buy them, and required to pay like a matriculation fee, as well as all their books and school supplies. And so that's a prohibitive expense for a lot of families, to be able to have a uniform. And kids are growing fast, so it's like it's not even that you're buying once in a year, you're buying it multiple times to wear it every day. So that's a big part of our scholarship program, is providing all of the materials and uniforms and entry fees that the kids need to attend primary, secondary, and then we do offer a limited number of university scholarships. Thankfully, so far, the primary and secondary scholarships we've been able to provide to all the kids that qualify. We link qualification for the scholarship to participating in the program. They have to have been in the program for at least 6 months and attended at least half the time, and then have a coach recommendation. But the university scholarship is a little more competitive. We can't fund them for everybody. So they do an application, and it's sort of a more formal competitive process.
Right. Now, is your program, is Soccer Without Borders only operating in Nicaragua, or someone was asking specifically whether the program was offered in Honduras?
We haven't operated in Honduras. We have ongoing programs in 5 US states and also in Uganda. And then we do, we call them accelerator programs or trainer programs, where we support other community organizations that are like us, but native to Costa Rica, Mexico, Ecuador, other places, to build their girls programs and their pathways for women coaches.
I love this question. Have you ever contacted Abby Wamba and Glennon Doyle and all of their support for women in soccer and asked for any assistance from them? So, fun fact, one of 2 yellow cards that I got playing in the WSA was against Abby Wambach. She is bigger, faster, and stronger than me, and I had to pull her jersey to not let her score on me. But their Together Rising is their organization, foundation, and Together Rising actually gave us a sort of unexpected $100,000 grant at the end of 2020. Totally unexpected. We were able to use it to invest in accelerating our progress with our girls programs in Uganda, Nicaragua, and the US. It is a little bit of a mystery, to be honest. They don't have a process. They just pick you, and then that's it.
So I don't, there's not really a way, believe me, I would try to connect with them directly. So if any of you know them, please let them know that we really appreciate the investment. It went a long way and we would love to meet and connect further.
That's awesome. Maybe don't mention the part about having to pull our jersey in the game.
Yeah. It
So-
gives her credit where credit's due.
Right, exactly. So before Soccer Without Borders, the girls didn't have any sports opportunities. And yet, you know, it sounds like almost immediately the parents started supporting the girls' participation in this. So how did that, you know, I mean, that sort of, you know, from going from, oh no, girls don't play this, to then so much support. I mean, was there more resistance there? Were the girls experiencing some resistance at home, or did they have to relinquish
definitely.
their regular duties?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that question. I see Susan Herring. Thank you for that question. So I mentioned that we went school to school for 6 weeks. I think I worked with and invited 1,000 girls to get 25. And so I know that I talk about it like it's a success story, and it's grown that we now have over 350 girls. But if I had done the very same thing and invited the boys, we would have had 500 on the first day. And a big reason, as we said in the video, parent permission is one of the biggest barriers. What it takes to address that is trust. I shared with Vina in my one-on-one interview this quote that I love called "Change happens at the speed of trust." And that has been true for us. You know, the first group of girls that came, I don't know that all their parents knew where they were. There's a lot of autonomy sometimes and with kids, what they do after school. There was also some that knew, that were related to some of our coaches. They were cousins or community members. You know, someone they trusted invited them, and that grew. And it grew by word of mouth, that the more and more people that were brought into the program that enjoyed it, that the parents saw that the girls were lit up about it and really proud of what they were doing. We also, having local coaches like Veronica from day one, to be able to go to home visits and talk to parents and explain why this would be valuable, was really helpful. I also think when we started the scholarship program, that was a huge moment, because there were a lot of parents that said, sport is nice, but that's a bonus. Like she has too many things to do at home. She has to go to school. She has to work in the market. And when it became not only something for her and for perceived as for fun, when it became something that provided a financial benefit, like the girls could earn points that got them sneakers and, you know, clothing, sport clothing and soccer balls. And we had things in the bodega like soap and food products. And so then it becomes also a financial benefit to the family, the school fees. So as we were able to provide some concrete resources, that also won over, you know, more and more parents. I think, like anything, there's that tipping point curve where we had some early adopters that were all in because they just loved the sport and had the freedom to participate. And then as we were able to provide more resources and gain more trust and have more testimonials, that really put us over the tipping point where now it is just as common to see a girl playing soccer in Granada as a boy.
Do you see any sort of reaction by the men in these communities, not just to the girls playing soccer, but to the changes that the girls start to have and seeing the opportunities that could be available to them, and, you know, and how they're becoming more empowered? You know, how are the men feeling about that?
Yeah, there are many men that have been incredibly supportive of our program. One way we built trust with them is that through those camps I mentioned, we would bring all these checked bags of equipment. This is back in the day, you could check 2 bags for free. That was wonderful. We would bring 100 pounds each every time we traveled. And often the gear would be too big for the girls. You know, people would donate size 11 cleats. I'm like, a 10-year-old girl's not going to wear that. And so we would actually do like sort of a yard sale and sell it to the men's soccer community and then reinvest the money in the program. And through that, we just thought we were going to like make a little bit of money for the program, but actually what it did was build real buy-in with the men's soccer community, where they're like, you're not just that girls soccer program, you are a soccer resource. Like you are here advocating for soccer as a sport and elevating soccer as a sport. So that group has had a lot of buy-in. You know, I think there is, everywhere you go, and definitely Nicaragua is like this, there is an objectification of women. Like, it's still not the most comfortable place to play when I'm like there as a woman on the field. But you can see the moment when girls, you know, come and they're shy and they're not playing and they won't change into sport clothes, or like maybe they kick a ball in their jeans, but then they leave, they don't want to sweat. And over time, they're like, I don't care what those guys think. You know, I'm going to play, I'm going to get dirty, I'm going to, you know, walk off the field with my friends in my shorts and t-shirt. There is a real change. And I've seen the community right around where we are that's exposed to it every day really, I wouldn't say always embrace it, but like really accept it, and almost like it's a non thing now to see girls playing on that field. It's just not a thing because it happens every day.
Change truly can happen.
It can.
There are a few other questions. Unfortunately, we need to get on to the next part of the program, but Mary, if you do have just a few minutes to check out, there's a couple questions that you might be
I'll
able
write
to
back
answer in the
directly.
chat.
I will
That
do
would be great. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Barb, our moderator.
Thank you very much, Mary, and good luck to you and your program. Okay, I'm excited now to introduce the next part of our webinar, because we're going to talk about the Together Women Rise travel program, specifically the recent trip to Jordan. Through these trips, members have the opportunity to connect face-to-face with grantees and the women and girls we support, along with learning more about the country, the culture, and the people. In late May, a group of members visited Jordan, and I was lucky enough to be part of this group. Several of my fellow travelers are on the call today. Joining us are Martha Thompson, Breege Blake, and Lindy Carter. We also saw Margot here. So Margot, if you want to speak up, that would be great. We have a slide presentation that chronicles our trip and some of the amazing women we met along the way. Let's see, do we have our slide? Are we gonna get that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
You know me, I'm a little slow.
That's quite all right. We visited one of our grantees. I can talk about that until the slides come up, but we visited the Collateral Repair Project in Amman. The Collateral Repair Project was founded in 2006 to aid refugees fleeing the violence of the Second Gulf War, and has been providing assistance to victims of violent conflict ever since. They received an initial grant of $37,000 from the Together Women Rise in 2015, and a 3-year sustained grant of $75,000 in 2019. They serve Jordanians living in extreme poverty, as well as refugees from Iraq, Syria, Sudan, and Yemen, who have arrived to Amman in huge numbers. CRP seeks to restore dignity and community among these displaced populations and to ensure their basic food and housing needs are met. It runs an emergency assistance program and a community center where they hold activities that allow refugees to begin healing and rebuilding. We visited 2 of the community centers on our trip, and we met some amazing people. So are we up with our slide?
Can you see it?
I can see it. I don't know if it's on full screen for everyone. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me, there we go.
Okay, great.
Good.
Okay, this is Alam. Well, that was Alam Shahan, our guide, and she was just amazing. She spent the entire time with us as a historian, a translator, and a snack specialist. But she is one of the very few female guides in Jordan, and she was just amazing. Okay, we can go to the next slide. This is one of the women that escorted us through the building and, stayed with us at the center. This is a slide of a future basketball court. And the next slide is a garden. They're going to start a garden. And then a building they're very proud of that they just acquired for community space. The next couple of slides where we had lunch with the executive director, Amanda Lane, and several of the women who went through the program and are now in leadership roles. This is really amazing because we got to speak to some of the women involved. After lunch, we visited and participated in some of the workshops. There was a sewing room and a salon run by a woman who owned a salon in Iraq before she was forced to leave. And here's our spa treatments. There was crochet workshop, and we had lunch on the second day. And here, that's more of our spa. There we go. There's Brigitte at we're learning how to crochet. You can just go right through these. Okay, and that's lunch again. With some of the women in the other center. We went to 2 centers. And then they also have a girls program called Supergirls. And Brigitte, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, there are 2 things going on in the next few slides. One is that one of our members, Carol Green from Philadelphia, belongs to a Knitting for Peace group, and she brought these Peace Pals little knitted toys that she wanted to distribute. She brought 108 of them. So there she's distributing them to the small children on the first day. But then on the second day, when we were in the downtown center, we were privileged to spend some time with the Supergirls Club. And that was very important for us because so many of the projects that Together Women Rise funds have girls clubs. And so it was great to be able to see one in action. So they also got these Peace Pal toys, they were allowed to pick their own, and they were so excited about it. And one girl, then they get up to speak, and one girl got up and spoke and said, "This is the happiest day of my life." And it was just a lovely experience for us. So that's the Supergirls is for pre-adolescent girls. They're all about 11 or 12 years old, and have a lot of support because they are all refugees or in refugee families.
That's great. Thanks, Brigitte. Then we went to Assault, a town outside of Amman. And Martha, would you like to take over from here?
Sure. Assault is Jordan's UNESCO City of Harmony, Tolerance, and Urban Hospitality. And one evidence of that is architecturally, we often see a mosque right next to an Orthodox Christian church. Another place you really see that is at Fatima's house. I think we have another slide in between. First, though, we did visit a museum, and this is a Kalaga dress, which is a typical dress I'll tell you about in a bit. Look how, that's not just a mock-up, that's a real dress. So hold that thought. And we'll talk a little bit about Fatima. She has a guest house where she offers that urban hospitality, greets visitors to her home. There she is. She had a twinkle in her eye and she was lots of fun, but she was on the brink of poverty, and with a kilo of lentils has started a program and pulled herself up and is able to support her family by welcoming guests to her home and serving meals. So we were able to be there to sit on her roof, to enjoy the fabulous food that they had, to meet some of her family members, and have a great day there in Assault. She also won the King Abdullah Award for Excellence in 2015 and was able to go to Lebanon to talk with other women about how to overcome difficulties in their life and to create some work for them. So there was Wendy trying on the dress, the Kalaga dress, which is a very heavy, and took a while for Fatima to get it on her. And Fatima sang a beautiful song the whole time while she was dressing Wendy in the dress. And the headdress in particular is quite heavy, and it's made to carry a jug of water. So it goes around your head, and then there's like a indent, let's say in the center, and it braces a jug of water. But there, as you can recall from that last picture, how long the dress is, that's the dress all bundled up and wrapped. And there's a special necklace that goes with it. It was lots of fun to try it on.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Martha.
Mhm.
The food, as you saw, was just amazing. And the next place we went to was a women's run business called Grandma's Kitchen or Bet City. And Breach, are you gonna continue
Yes,
to talk
sure.
about that?
Yeah.
Great.
Great City, or grandmother's house, and it was started by 3 women who are sisters in their what had been their grandmother's house, and they started a catering project and culinary school. And so our visit there was to learn to cook a full 3-course Jordanian meal. And there we were all given, when we arrived, an apron, a sharp knife, and a cutting board. And we were all allowed to participate, or given tasks to participate in making this meal. That was, again, just as delicious as the one the day before. The centerpiece of it was this balruba that you can see that is made with eggplant. It's a pot lined with eggplant, and then there's cauliflower and chicken, all pre-cooked, and then rice and stock and many, many spices. And then after it's all cooked, there's the drama of turning it upside down and taking the pot off, and it comes out in one piece, as you can see, or you can see, as with any home-cooked meal, there's a piece slightly falling off. It was absolutely delicious. And of course, we got to eat it all after that. So we both learned how to cook, and we dined very well. And we got to hear about the project, and we were able to buy spices and their homemade pomegranate molasses and tahini, and so it was just a great day. A great part of this trip was how we were able to participate. We had so many activities that we could participate in, and really that were hands-on. So
That's great. And Lindy, you want to tell us about our next place, the Bet Karatsuf? Lindy, are you still with us? Okay, well, the next place we went to is the Al Noor Al Mobin Association, and this was another co-op comprised of very strong-willed, ambitious women. They were amazing, and again, they fed us lunch, and we were able to see how they prepared meals, and we were able to, they had a lot of products to sell, and what was really fascinating about this was after we ate and after we toured, there's their kitchen, they called us back into the room and they put music on and they were just dancing, and we were all dancing and just having a great time. So that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And this is a Bedouin experience. We were south of Amman, I think it was that, and we visited homes of 2 women, and this is a loom that she had set up outside in her backyard. So we were sitting out there with with kittens and goats and learning how, well, not really learning, but seeing how she set up her loom. Our tour guide for this, you could see him in the background, is Hussein, and who was calling our guide Honey Bunny the whole time. He was a character. But this is another woman's home. We're in her backyard and she's making Bedouin bread. And it's just, and some of us had a chance to make it. So here she is flattening the bread, and then she put it on, looked like an upside down wok to cook. And a couple of us had a chance. There's Breach, they're working on it. And then of course we ate. Let's see. And then this is the typical Bedouin camp that our guide that was running this place. So we ate here as well, outside. And it was just an amazing, amazing setting there. So we were sitting outside to eat, and it was just wonderful. The next cooperative association that we went to, Martha, do you want to take this one? The Iraq Almir Women's Co-op?
Yep.
Okay.
This
great.
was started by Queen Noor, wife of King Hussein, an American-born, originally Lisa Halaby, who became the Queen of Jordan, and she wanted to foster women and allow women to establish businesses, but also to bring back traditional crafts in Jordan. So we went and visited there. Again, we had a great lunch, and then we learned to do a few things. We could choose pottery or paper making. And what my biggest memory of this was that the women there did not speak any English, and we didn't speak any Arabic, but they instructed us beautifully just through gestures, through eye contact, through smiles, through a caress of the shoulder, a pat on the back. And it was real communication and lots of fun too. That's my biggest memory of being there.
That's great. A lot of laughing. We had
Lots
a lot
of
of
laughing.
there. It was
Yeah.
fun. The rest of the trip, we did a lot of touring. This is Eddie, our driver, our Bedouin driver, we were flying through the desert with him. And he was playing Bedouin music on a memory stick. He had 2 cell phones, and he had a big bottle of cologne that he offered to spray all of us with, but we kind of passed on that. But this was on the way to the Echo Lodge in Finan. And this is a small lodge that uses solar panels for its hot water. The staff are local Bedouins, and in the evening it's lit by candles. It was amazing. And our guide here was Mohammed, who took us to a Bedouin family's home for tea and some home-fired coffee. And he explained that anything could be solved. That's him right there, and the owner of the home. He said that anything can be solved with 3 cups of tea. In the book, the first is you're a stranger, the second cup you're a friend, and the third you're family. And it was just amazing. We've heard several versions of this on our trip. And we were also served coffee. He's making the coffee, he fired it out there, and then he had a little mortar and pestle which he ground it all up and made a lot of noise to let the neighbors know that coffee was being served, which was nice. The first day of travel there, some of us went to see the street art, and this was our guide there. And this street art, I think he said about 80% of it is done by women. So that was really an experience. There's some of the art. And then we went to, the oldest falafel place in Amman. There was a lot of eating going on, as you could tell. We also visited the mosque in Amman, and it was built in the 80s, and it was the biggest one in the Mideast, but now there's bigger ones in Dubai and Morocco. It was just amazing. I was impressed by the 90 descriptions of Allah around the inside dome, kind, knowing, gentle, forgiving. It was just amazing. This was a guy that just came up and photobombed us. It was, we got photobombed, and we met local residents everywhere we went, and just the people were amazing and fun-loving and very friendly. This is the inside of the mosque. It was the only place that we needed to be really covered. This is the Dead Sea, which was just remarkable. I think Wendy and I were both saying, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're here. It was just amazing. And it was the lowest place on the planet. And we all got our mud treatments from after we were there. You go swimming in the water, and then you come out and they put this Dead Sea mud on you, and it feels really weird and different. But there's the, this is out of place, but that's the lodge all lit at night. Then we headed to Petra. here's some of the homes at the Eco Lodge. This is Petra, where they, some of you might recognize it. They filmed it in, they filmed some of the Indiana Jones here, but we walked through, I don't know how long, about a mile of this crevice, and then it pops out to this amazing city. It's so huge. And it was just incredible. Some of the local Bedouins and the boys that work there. The Bedouin people were displaced from this, from these national parks, but they agreed to leave if they could work there. So a lot of the workers and the, you know, they were selling their wares in the park. They were all from the Bedouin community. And this is one of the lodges that we stayed at. This was at Wadi Rum, where they filmed The Martian and Star Wars. And we stayed in these little domes that were inspired by the movie and are popping up all over the place there. So that was really, really fun. There's Wendy there in the big dome. That was where we ate dinner. We also rode camels, which was an experience in itself. And there's all of us on our camels. It's Lindy. And we got a Jeep tour and were served lunch in the desert by this, I don't remember his name, but he was really fun, and his wife prepared all the lunch for us. So that was really, really nice. Watched a lot of beautiful sunsets. There we are in our Jeeps. Then we all had to get our COVID tests before we left. And finally, our last site, we all passed. We all were allowed to come home. And there we are. And I think Martha, she coined the expression, "Together women ride." So there we are, riding into the sunset on our camels. That's about it. If anyone has any questions or any comments from some of our travelers, if you want to chime in or have anything to say.
I am here. I just didn't, I was muted. So I couldn't figure out right away how to unmute myself.
Oh, sorry, Linda.
Yeah, it's okay. One of the things that I wanted to just mention was, I noticed that the women who were in the cooperatives that we visited were so open, relaxed, eager to meet us, embrace us, be friends with us. And it was a different feeling than we had from some of the women who were not part of that. For example, Mohammed, who was the coffee guy, Mohammed's wife didn't want her picture taken. The woman who was doing the weaving was covered and masked, and you know, obviously couldn't speak English, but nobody could. A lot of these people couldn't speak English, and that was not a barrier in some situations. But I just felt like, and the women at the CRP who have come together and they meet in the morning for coffee and kind of mutual support, they were so open with us and we could relate to them. And one of my favorite memories was just speaking with them one-on-one and hearing about their lives and what was important to them. And I was a little bit sad with the other women that we couldn't communicate with in the same way.
Thank you, Lindy. Anyone else? All right. Well,
can I just talk? Sure. We didn't mention the art gallery. We visited a women's art gallery, and we met women artists who were refugees. And the gallery was founded by, I think, an Australian or New Zealand woman who'd been in Jordan for 20 years, but she was giving space to these to refugee women artists. We actually, several of us bought their art because we were so impressed by their stories, and they were still refugees and not supposed to work in Jordan, but this woman was allowing them to sell their work, and one of them talked about having become the breadwinner in her family and how difficult that was for her father, who was had been the traditional breadwinner. And again it was, as Lindy talked about, the communication with them was really great because they were so willing to tell their stories and to talk to us.
That's great.
I'll chime in just to say that not only was it great to meet the women in Jordan through all the cooperatives and at CRP, but it was so special to be able to spend time with other women from Together Women Rise. And, the friendships that we've developed. I'm going to be seeing some of the other Philadelphia women soon. And I was supposed to be with Barb tonight, but because I was exposed to COVID, I decided not to go over and see her. So it's, and we all live in different places, have different kind of lives, but we all, it was a great group. We all gelled really well. And it was just so wonderful to meet women from around the country and spend a couple of weeks with them. I highly recommend that.
Thank you, Martha. That's well stated. Thank you so much. Well, I think we are over just a little bit, but I just wanted to just close up here for Together Women Rise depends on your donations to fund the projects like the ones we've learned about tonight. And so you could go to our website, togetherwomenrise.org, to make a single donation or set up monthly giving support to help us all year round. You can also on the website, you can go to the Join Us tab and pull down, and you can see all of the events coming up. You can find, there's just so much information on there. Our next couple of events are the advocacy webinar on Tuesday, July 19th at 8:30. And in August, the national webinar will be on Thursday, August 4th at 8. And it will feature Colors of Connection, our August grantee, and Amplify, who will provide an update on the Impact Partnership grants that we awarded earlier in the year. And then one of my favorites is I want to encourage everybody to get reading because we have a fabulous book club and a book club event on September 15th. And we'll be featuring the book Between the Mountain and the Sky, A Mother's Story of Love, Loss, Healing, and Hope. And it's written by Maggie Doing, I think, co-founder and CEO of Blink Now Foundation in Nepal. And Together Women Rise is a long-standing partnership with Blink Now. And we're thrilled that she will be there to join us on September 15th. So you can find out and register on the website. And that's about it. If there's anything anybody else needs, otherwise we'll say good night. And thank you for joining us. Wendy put the information on the book club in the chat. So that's great. So good night, everybody. And thank you for joining us, and hope to see all of you soon. Bye.